Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Area 51 Super Speedway Xfinity Series here on Thursday nights. For myself, Boomer Logan, we will be calling the action here at Green White Checker TV. Got 90 laps on the schedule here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, our third visit to the newly repaved speedway with 28 degrees of banking, one of the highest banked 1.5 mile tracks probably in the world, and we've seen some really good super speedway or drafting track style racing here so far this season. Whatever you want to call it, it's definitely unique. It's not quite Daytona, it's not quite Talladega, the old school restrictor plate style or super speedway or drafting track, whatever again name you want to call it. It is definitely unique. And it is going to be a lot of pack racing and definitely a lot of fun. It is one of the most unique opportunities we have here on our schedule, just from the standpoint that tire wear really makes a huge difference here. And unlike at Daytona or Talladega, or even iRacing Super Speedway, you can't hold it wide open even 10 or 15 laps into the run here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, just because the tires wear enough that you actually have to lift to get into the corner, make it stick on the bottom, and then get back on the gas as you exit the corner, back down the front and back straightaways. So should be a lot of fun. We've seen, again, some good races so far. This is our third time here this season, and I think for the most part that'll kind of be the plan for the schedule with our 12 race series with 4 tracks in the mix here. So I always appreciate the opportunity to be here and get to see these cars do battle on this track. So they are drivers currently about just over a minute left in qualifying here, but we're going to take a second just to update you on the point standings, and nothing too crazy so far. We've got everybody tied at 2,000. Gabe Butler with 2 wins so far on the season. Eric Laurie, Rick Sanchez, Bud Steele, and Charles Johnson with 1 each. Maxwell Caldwell there with 4 top 5s to his name so far this season, and Jack Walls. All those guys are tied again at 2,000 points. Kevin Freese will be in the mix. Andrew Pileshi, Jim Brooks, Corey Buskirk, Carl Engel, Dean Wilkinson, Nicholas Wing, Bob Fitzgerald, Ambrose Knievel, and Brandon Paul. Everybody you see on your screen all tied and even reset for the next 4 races for the playoffs here. Everybody has the same opportunities to try and win this championship. So we've got the first race here at Atlanta. Obviously, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, we'll have 1 week off next week. Wish you all a safe holiday, safe travels, and spend some time with loved ones and enjoy yourselves as we give thanks next Thursday. But 2 weeks' time, we'll be back at Daytona on November 30th before the final 2 races of the season in iRacing the Super Speedway, and closing out the season at Talladega on December 14th. So we've got 3 action-packed weeks after this one, with 1 week of holiday break in between, and we are very much looking forward to getting into this first race tonight of those playoffs that we mentioned. It looks like we are finished with qualifying here, and we are taking to the grid. We'll see if we can get a shot of those cars lining up on pit road here, and we're going to pull up the grid as we take a look. Gabe Butler, he's going to grab the first bonus point of the playoffs. He is officially the playoff points leader at the moment with 2,001 points for grabbing the pole with a lap of 31.982 seconds in that number 88 Chevrolet Camaro. Ryan Decker, with a very solid qualifying effort himself, finds himself outside pole in that number 48 machine. Another driver behind them is going to be Rick Sanchez in the podium placings for qualifying in that 510 machine. He's going to find himself about 300ths off of the pole. Austin Call for Ambush Racing is going to start in the number 64 machine in the outside row, about 42 thousandths of a second slower than Gabe Butler on the pole. And Eric Laurie will be rounding out your top 5 for the evening in that 071 John Deere machine. To his outside, it's Andrew Pileshi in the number 82 car from Ohio. On the 4th row, it's going to be Ambrose Knievel of Blind Squirrel Racing in the 04 machine, another driver locked into the playoffs there with Bud Steele, race winner here earlier at Atlanta. First race of the season, actually, had that great race win, and hope to see for him if he can repeat that, especially here early on in the playoffs. So, Bud on the outside of row number 4. Maxwell Caldwell not in the win column yet, but has had some very solid runs so far this season in that 94 machine. He's going to qualify exactly 700ths off of the pole in the 9th position in the inside lane. Brandon Paul, I believe he was new to the league as of this season, but he's definitely shown some great skill early on in that 03 machine, has had some great races. Unfortunately, not always the great finishes that he wants, but I believe he's also locked into the playoffs here, so he'll be ready to go from that top 10 starting position with Corey Buskirk and Carl Lingle rounding out the first page of the grid here. Rounding out the rest of the field is going to be drivers who elected not to qualify here at the beginning. So that's going to be Kevin Freese, the first of those drivers inside row 7 with Jack Wallace to his outside, 2 guys competing for the championship as well. James Bowen for Team Extreme Racing. Been a little while since we've seen that name, but excited to have you back, James, and looking forward to see what you can do in that number 7 machine from the back of the pack tonight. Bob Fitzgerald in the 08 machine. He is also going to be starting there without a qualifying time outside of row number 8. Todd Siebels for TW Motorsports in the 45 will start 17th. Adam Kilday in the 85 outside of row number 9, and Dean Wilkinson will start shotgun on the field for TW Motorsports in that 55 machine, also competing for the championship. So we'll bring up the tower here, and you will see all those names in green that will be competing for the championship as Gabe Butler patiently awaits for the pace truck to pull off of the speedway and for him to get into the Geico restart zone for the green flag to fly here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the first race of the playoffs here at Area 51. It's a little early on here, but how about we take a minute to crank it up? Moved to the outside early on for Gabe Butler. He now finds himself in the outside row, now being pushed by the 82 machine of Andrew Pileshi. Ryan Decker has taken over the inside lane with the 64 of Austin Call there. They both moved to the bottom. Kind of a swap of sorts as the 88 is going to make that move down to the bottom as well. So a lap led for Ryan Decker and a lap led for Gabe Butler. Makes the points pretty easy right now as Gabe is currently leading with 2,002 points at the head of the playoffs standings as Andrew Pileshi, I believe, actually grabbing a lap lead there, I believe. Don't know for sure. It was pretty close. Changed just as they crossed the stripe, so could be a lap lead there for Andrew Pileshi as well, but obviously very early on. But we see a couple names up there. Bud Steele is in the mix. He is the second car in that outside lane, giving a really good push to Andrew Pileshi down the backstretch here. He's going to stick the nose out just a little bit there to try and get some fresh, clean air on the into the intake of that number 6 Navy Ford Mustang, as the 82 solidly gets a lap lead that time by, so a bonus point for him in his championship hunt. Wouldn't be surprised if some of these drivers are trying to do that early on and see if they can grab a point, bonus point for the championship. It's going to be absolutely crucial later on for those single bonus points, and it's not very uncommon for these, especially in these playoff formats with only 4 races, for races to or the championships to come down to less than 5 points or so. So those bonus points, if you can lead those laps in every single race, that's at least 4 bonus points that are up for grabs. Obviously, Gabe Butler, we mentioned already, grabbing that bonus point for the pole position, so he's got a little bit of an advantage over everybody else, and those points will add up and they will count for sure, as now we see the 6 machine being pushed by the 04 of Ambrose Kniebel in that '04 Chevrolet Camaro. Beautiful Marlboro red and white scheme. And just behind him is Brandon Paul there in the '03 machine, another one of our playoff contenders here early on. Top 5 is full of them at the moment, as the 6, the '04, and the '03 are lined up in that outside lane. It's still Andrew Pileshi in the '82 in the bottom lane, being pushed by the '88 of Gabe Butler, and a little bit of a gap back to Ryan Decker in that number 48 Toyota Supra. Fairly quiet early on, but these laps will click off very quickly, as we are 7 laps into this. 7 laps now complete as they cross the stripe, this time by starting lap number 8. And I'm hearing somewhere in the 30 lap range or so, low 30, high 20s for pit stops. So we'll see if anybody is able to stretch that and make that a 2-stop race, or if it's going to be something more. But we'll have to wait and see. We got 90 laps on schedule, so we're just about a 10th of the way through this one. With green flag action out on the speedway, it definitely clicks off very quickly. Drivers are running about 31-second laps here, which is quite a bit quicker than the old Atlanta Motor Speedway before the repave. Definitely, mixed feelings as far as what this track is now and what they did in real life to again add that 28 degrees of banking. It's now 40 feet wide all the way around, except for the front stretch, which I believe is a whopping 75 feet wide. And you'll see as they come across the start-finish line, the apron opens up, it flattens out, and there is quite a bit of space to make moves here. But the also rule here at Area 51 is to not be able to advance your position below that red line, red and double white line that you see. So drivers, even though they have the space to make moves all the way down to the apron there, have to do it above that white line to be within the rule book and not shortcut the track. So we will watch and see if anybody tries to make a move down below there. For the most part, it's obviously pretty quiet at the moment. No one really trying to make moves or at least advance positions down there at this time. But Andrew Pileshi's still clicking off. A few more laps left. The 6 machine, Bud Steele's going to jump in line 3rd there behind Gabe Butler, ahead of Ryan Decker and Ambrose Kniebel, as we're starting to single file out just a little bit here. First car in the outside lane now is Brandon Paul in that '03. He's got some help from the 998 of Corey Buskirk at the moment, and Carl Lingle back there behind them. You see Kevin Freese there in the Kellogg's Cornflakes machine. Looks like Brandon Paul, a little bit of a connection hiccup there for a moment there. We saw one out of Ambrose Kniebel earlier on. We'll see. Hopefully they can get their internet connection stabilized to continue on in this race. But so far we stayed green. And we're just clicking off green flag laps. Andrew Pileshi out to a fairly comfortable lead early on. He's going to try and see what he can do to get enough laps led early on. Maybe try and see if he can start making his bids early, but making his bid for the most laps led on one in the race, because that will be an additional bonus point, which we will hammer home how important those will be over and over again. You'll hear me say it probably quite a few times here until you get tired of it. I apologize, but definitely always good to do everything you can. Any bonus points you can get can really help, especially if you have, something happens later on in the race that is, beyond your control, and something happens to where you finish, or you believe you finished somewhere where you weren't going to be expected to finish. So if you can grab those bonus points, even if you have a bad night, it definitely helps make that a little bit easier. But we've still got 18 cars in the field that are rolling around on the lead lap in the lead draft at the moment. As the '03 Brandon Paul is making pretty good progress there in the outside lane. He's now up to alongside the 6 of Bud Steele, trying to get a little bit more. He's got the help of Corey Buskirk again, still behind him. He's almost going to pull almost to the quarter panel of the 88 machine. Maybe not here. We'll see if they get a good run down the backstretch here, but playing along with about 3rd in line there. That's the outside lane, pulling even with 3rd on the inside line. Seeming to settle out there, kind of stalling out just a little bit, but couple names have been making their way up through the field. We see Adam Kilday at the moment. He's in the 8th position, started last, but he is actually now 7th scored. That's 11 points up for him at the moment. A solid run early on in this one. Brandon Paul, Corey Buskirk are both up 6 spots at the moment. Brandon Paul up 7 with that move to 3rd, and Adam Kilday up 12 with that move to 6th. So a couple movers early on. We see a couple guys have dropped back so far. Ambrose Kniebel is bound 11 spots. He's just kind of hanging out right around at the back there. So I'm just trying to maybe wait out some of the chaos and see how this settles out. Definitely getting into the point of the run where, tires are starting to wear enough that you have to, you have to lift a little bit on the throttle on quarter entry, and you have to make sure you don't slide the tires because it'll get really tight here with the corner speeds that we have. The car will get really tight, and you'll want to drift up to the outside of the track. And if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention to that or not lifting enough, you will be sending it right into the outside wall. So drivers being mindful of that as we get later on in the runs. But kind of stalling out just a little bit there, Brandon Paul. He's still got the help of Corey Buskirk. He's got, looks like Adam Kilday up there behind him as well in that 85 machine, and they're just trying to see what they can do, hanging out. But the 82 and the 88 still clear out front in the inside lane. Bud Steele, Ryan Decker still lined up nose to tail there on the inside as Andrew continues to click off laps led early on in this one. See most of the field just kind of taking it easy. A couple guys trying to make some moves on the outside there. We see now the 25 of Kevin Freese and the 510 further back of Rick Sanchez. A couple heavy hitters throughout the regular season so far, trying to make some moves up towards the front. See what they can do to get up there and be in line to have a good track position by the time that they go to make their pit stops here, which should be coming in the next 10 laps or so. A lot of drivers just kind of hanging out and chilling out single file in the back behind them. You see 071 of Eric Laurie, the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell back here, Jack Walls as well, Bob Fitzgerald in the playoffs. These guys are just hanging around, riding and waiting for who knows, something to happen, or just being patient and waiting to see. We got pretty much, most of the field obviously is playoff drivers, but you see quite a bit. Oh, we got a big incident here for the 998 of Corey Buskirk. Jack Walls is involved late. Bob Fitzgerald looks like he was involved a little bit late as well, but we're going to have to go back to this and see how this one unfolded. As we're going to focus on Corey Buskirk here. As Kevin Freese was just to his outside there, entering turn number 1. Kevin Freese starting to go 3 wide already. And just kind of running out of real estate there for all 3 cars to be 3 wide. The 998 is going to go head on to the outside wall. A big hit for the 510. You see the engine damage, the hood gone for the 510. A little bit of damage for the 25 machine. The 998 absolutely going to have to take a fast repair after that one. And mostly everyone else getting checked up. You see the 83 getting spun there. Looks like they're at the end. A little bit of contact with the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald. So pretty much everybody involved there, or most of the drivers involved there, are championship contenders. So we'll have to see how they manage that early on, because they will have to take a fast repair, I would believe. Most of those drivers, maybe not the 08 or the 83, but they'll have to take a fast repair there to try and repair that damage early on. So definitely unfortunate to have to burn that early, but we're going to jump now further ahead, as just a moment ago we had cars coming down pit road. And you'll see Andrew Pileshi leading them onto pit road with the 88 of Gabe Butler as well. Most of the field coming down pit road here. I don't think anybody actually stayed out. So pretty much the whole field there coming down. So the 998 trying to repair some damage without taking a fast repair. He's been sitting in his pit stall for at least a minute 40. Could be taking the tow back to pit lane and may still be able to get that fast repair, but we'll have to wait and see. And we'll see who comes off first here. Drivers going up and down as they receive their service, tires, and fuel. And the 88 is going to get a great launch off of pit road here. He's going to come out first, the 82 out second, Bud Steele out third, and Ryan Decker out fourth. Brandon Paul out fifth. And while we have the moment, we are going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, 4D Racewear.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
Just about ready to go back green here, and you saw the message from 4dracewear.com. You see the offer code in the corner there, area 5115, that's area 5115. That discount code is good for 15% off at 4dracewear.com. Be sure to check out their website. They've got a lot of really cool sim racing apparel, including shoes and gloves and a lot of other stuff for all your sim apparel needs. So be sure to stop on by. A big sponsor and big supporter of Area 51 for a long time, so we always appreciate those who support us, and trying to get everyone who supports us to support them as well, because they are make a really great product, and we appreciate all the years of work and support that we've done with them. But we've got some racing to get back to here, as it looks like the pace truck is going to be lights out and on pit road here. Gabe Butler again is going to lead us to the green flag as he did on the initial restart, and we are back underway. Up through the gearbox they go, as the 88 machine's got a good push from Ryan Decker in that 48 machine early on. Outside lane is going to be Bud Steele with the 510 of Rick Sanchez. Kevin Freese is going to join the train on the bottom. Then Andrew Pileshi further back. A little bit of a gap as the 48 is going to jump to the high side here in front of Bud Steele. He's going to try and see what he can do to get up to the front here. Rick Sanchez is going to jump to the bottom. So we got two Team Bootnaka teammates there working in the inside lane. And a couple of Roswell Motorsports teammates in the 48 and the 6 working in the outside lane at the moment, as we are green flag once again. Doesn't look like there was too much damage there for the 25 machine, or perhaps he took his fast repair early on, but he is up at the front. Was trying to make some moves up there, and unfortunately got 3 wide with the 998 of Corey Buskirk, and couldn't quite find enough room for them to both make the corner there, as Corey is, I believe, still sitting on pit road at the moment. Let's see if we can find where he is at. No, he is back out on the racing surface. He is currently scored at 3 laps down, and we'll have to wait and see what his pace looks like. He spent 4 minutes and 23 seconds on pit road repairing damage. Jack Walls spent 50 seconds on pit road, but Jack Walls actually just ran the fastest lap of anybody in the race, and Ambrose Kniebel ran so that was a 30.68 for Jack Walls, a 30.82 for Brandon Paul the previous time around, a 30.94 for Gabe Butler this time around. So Jack Walls still has plenty of speed left in that number 83 machine, as you're going to see him starting to make the move to the outside here, trying to be the first one to do it so he can try and get that push from other drivers, but nobody else so far is wanting to go with him. He's going to have to settle for pulling alongside the 64 machine of Austin Call at the moment. See what he can do by himself with the side draft, but looks like no harm, no foul for the 83 with a little bit of contact he had in that wreck. Ambrose Kniebel in the 04 also looks healthily up to speed there after spending 57 seconds in his pit stall repairing damage. And Bob Fitzgerald in the 08 machine at the back of this pack, he spent about 40 seconds on pit road, and he actually had the fastest lap this last time by. So I think other than Corey Buskirk, everybody looks to be in good condition, good shape, ready to go fight this one out as 1/3 of the race is done here. So that puts most of our drivers pitting at lap 22. We didn't see it on the broadcast, and I apologize for that, but a lot of drivers were electing to come back down pit road under the second lap under yellow and take advantage of a little bit extra fuel. So a couple drivers pitting at lap 23 here. So it doesn't seem like much, especially not under caution, but that little bit of fuel could mean the difference between going an extra lap or not, and could have implications for pit strategy later on in this one. I think based on where they pitted there, we're still looking at a 2-stop race to the end of it, because that was, we were saying, I think about 30 laps or so on fuel, and it almost hinders the opportunities for pitting, because pitting on lap 22, 23, leaving about 68 laps to go in the field. It's going to be a little bit harder to bridge, so there's still 2 opportunities needed for pitting, unless a caution were to come out at some point from here until the end of the race. But we'll have to wait and see here. Gabe Butler taking command of this one so far, with the 25 machine of Kevin Freese lined up nose to tail, the 510 of Rick Sanchez, and the 83 of Jack Walls. Jack Walls finally getting up towards the front there. He found a few dancing partners to come to the front with. He's got Adam Kilday behind him, giving him a good push, and he is now pushing the 510 of Rick Sanchez as they are going to try and challenge for the lead here with 33 laps on the scoreboard of 90 for the evening. Everyone pretty much settling into single file action there throughout the rest of the field, all the way back to the 55 of Dean Wilkinson, who's the tail end of this pack here. And Corey Buskirk about a second a lap off of the pace here. You see him, he is currently exiting turn 2 onto the backstretch right about now. And we'll see our leaders are entering turn 1 at that same moment. So it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a few laps, but we're definitely going to see these drivers catch up to Corey here, and hopefully for Corey, he can try and hang out in this pack, and at the moment doesn't have to battle for any other lap cars for the lucky dog position. So he is the lucky dog, but he would love to stay ahead of their leaders right now, because he will go 4 laps down if he does not manage to stay ahead of them. And I mean, even 3 laps is quite seems quite daunting and almost seems insurmountable. But 4 laps would definitely be almost a guaranteed nail in the coffin for his race tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. There's still plenty of time left. Obviously, still about 2/3 of this one to go here. Lap 35. We're about 13 laps into this run. The 510 has not had an opportunity to get to the front here until now, as he's even with the 88, and I think he is not going to lead that lap actually this time by. The 88 surges ahead just at the last moment as they cross the stripe. Rick Sanchez, I believe, still looking for that first lap lead, that bonus point on the evening. He's got a couple other drivers behind him in the playoffs that are absolutely looking for that as well, as he's got the 83 of Jack Walls, who's very not aggressive, but very really hoping to get up to that front there. Apologies for finding a better word, but he is doing a lot within that race car to try and get to the front there and see what he can do to take advantage of that draft at the moment. So as of right now, Gabe Butler kind of leading this this kind of second stint so far. We saw a lot from Andrew Pleshy early on, but Andrew's back now in the 9th position, working around the 64 of Austin Call, Carl Engel, and Ambrose Kniebel is a couple cars around them towards the back. But we kind of jumbled up a little bit more here, a little single file, a little double file, depends on where you're at. The 83 is going to make the move to the bottom there. Says, thank you, Adam, for the push, but I'm going to try this inside lane here and see if I can just stick around and stay quiet and tuck in here and do what I can, as Rick Sanchez is going to assume the lead there. Excuse me, he had the lead there in the outside lane, but he's got a different pusher behind him in Adam Kilday in the 85, and that's your top 5 here at the moment. Gabe, Kevin, Rick, Jack, and Adam. A couple good positions here for some of these guys who did not qualify. Kevin Freese up 11 positions. Jack Walls up 10. Adam Kilday up 13. All these drivers electing not to take a qualifying time, so That is a good opportunity for them to get up to the field or through the field early on, as we got a little bit more two-wide action there. Ambrose Knievel and Carl Engel in the outside lane are going to join the fight here in the outside lane, trying to get the 510 of Rick Sanchez clear, but there's a single car breakaway at the front right now, and that is still the 88 of Gabe Butler, who lost the lead for a little bit, was still in control, as he was kind of the guy that was really pushing Andrew Pileshi patiently around the speedway. Now it's his turn to lead the march around this 1.5 mile oval, as he is clicking off laps led and working on cementing his bonus point potentially for the most laps led this evening. As you can see there now, just off in the distance is the 998 of Corey Buskirk here. Again, he is currently 2 or 3 laps down at the moment here, and he is going to pull down to the apron and let the pack on by. Very sportsman-like move for the 998 of Corey Buskirk here. Hopefully he can try and tag on to someone at the end of this draft here and get back up with it, but he's going to take it easy and let these guys on by. We had a moment here for Bob Fitzgerald. I mentioned that showing in the scoring and shows that he went off track, came back on track, went back off, and came back on again. Not quite sure what happened there, but let's see if we can get a quick view of that. As there's a bit of a spinner up ahead of him. Some smoke that we can't necessarily see, and he's going to get a little bit of a bump from Todd Siebels. It looked like Andrew Pileshi might have slid to the inside, as Bob Fitzgerald is going to go for a ride through the grass and have to rejoin the speedway. Very unfortunate for him. He was just kind of hanging out, was involved in that first wreck as he got into it from behind there from back further in the pack. He's going to be slow getting back up to speed, and I think that's going to put him quite a ways off of our leaders here, as we'll now jump back live and check back in with our lead pack of Gabe Butler, Kevin Freese, and the rest. So that puts Bob Fitzgerald off of the pack. Dean Wilkinson and Todd Siebels. Dean Wilkinson actually looks like he's doing some sportsmanship stuff. He's helping the 998 in the draft, but it looks like he's also trying to get back to. Oh, we have a yellow flag on the speedway. More action than wow. Heck of a time to be looking down as Ambrose Knievel gets contact from the 998 of Corey Buskirk. I believe that's unfortunately some teammates there who are getting into the wreck after the fact, and we're going to take you through how this one unfolded here, as we'll try and see where it started. It looked like it was a little bit further ahead of this pack, as you can already see it starting to unfold, and there it is, the 04 of Ambrose Knievel. So we will highlight him and bring it back to the replay here at the point of the yellow flag. And it looks like he just gets loose. We'll rewind it just a little bit here. But there you see that handling coming into play. Oh, we are, apologies, having a little bit of troubles with the replay here. Still working on getting better with that, but we're going to rewind it just a little bit here again and see if we can just see what happens coming into turn 1 here. Man, that was really weird, really quick. That almost looked like some net code, because that contact was a lot faster than just losing it on his own. Let's see if we can go back and try and pull up the slow motion camera here and see if we can make sense of why that happened. You see here, entering turn 1. Early on in the run, enough that it wasn't quite enough for, oh man, that just looks like some really terrible net code where the 071 was coming up, because that was way too fast, and Ambrose has way too much car control to lose it, especially on newer tires there. It's possible, obviously, at the speedway, but not early enough on that run, and you could see how the 071 was kind of moving to the top. Never even came close to him, but sometimes in iRacing, there's an issue where netcode where cars think they're colliding even if they're not, and you see the 998 trying to make the move to the outside as Ambrose is able to lock it down, but 998 not able to make the move fast enough. he is going to make contact with his teammate, unfortunately, in the 04, and I believe that that's going to mean that Corey's going to have to take his fast repair if he hasn't already. I mean, I guess I would have expected that he may have already, but he's got plenty of damage on that one. So I think he may have tried to save that fast repair for later, but who knows? With being 4 laps down and probably more at this point, I think that's going to almost officially take him out of this one, unfortunately. We'll jump back live, though. Pit stops have actually already happened, so you're seeing a little bit of... this is actually second action for pit stops here so far, as Jack Walls, Rick Sanchez, 64 of Austin Call, 071, 94, 82, all coming down pit road. The 03 of Brandon Call, trying to get a little bit of extra fuel in this one. From here, it should be a one-stop race to the finish. Drivers that stayed out and didn't pit a second time include Gabe Butler, Kevin Freese, Ryan Decker, Bud Steele, Ambrose Kniebel, and Austin Call. So Ambrose getting the fast repair taken there. Should be back up to speed and ready to go, as he is still in contention here for the playoffs. We do see Bob Fitzgerald. He actually came down a second time, but he is back out of his pit stall. And Corey Busker taking about a minute in his pit stall, but he is still sitting on pit road, now getting service. And we'll see if he does take that fast repair or if he is going to plan on just taking that damage repair. But before we get back to green flag action, we are going to take one more quick break from our sponsor, 4DRacewear.com.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4DRacewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
Late to the start there, we apologize for that, but the pace truck is off, and Gabe Butler continues to lead the field back to the green flag. Kevin Freese to his outside. Teammates are currently disconnected until the 25 drops down, so he is going to take over the race lead and presumably lead a couple laps here with the 88 pushing him now, as Bud Steele is also going to drop down there and get to the inside line. So that's the 3 of them plus Ryan Decker and Austin Call lined up the first 5 cars in the inside lane. Ambrose Kniebel in the 04 with Carl Lingle are pretty much the only ones working in the outside so far through the top 10. Rick Sanchez up there as well. And while we have a minute here on a restart, let's take another opportunity to crank it up. As you see here, Kevin Freese is now on the point, as we mentioned, as he got down ahead of his teammate there on that restart. Gabe Butler now pushing him to the front. Biggest mover at the moment still is Kevin Freese in that number 25 machine, up 12 spots after not qualifying tonight. Ambrose Kniebel having a really good run here after the netcode contact with the 071 machine of Eric Laurie there. Nothing that either of those drivers did wrong at all entering turn number 1, but the 071 was sliding up just a little bit. Was never going to actually physically make contact with the 04 as you see how much closer these drivers can get to each other without making contact, but sometimes the net code giveth and the net code taketh, and in that moment, even though they were quite a ways apart, the iRacing code believed they made contact, and that sent the 0-4 around, and thankfully enough, though, it is no harm, no foul, and he is up at the front of this one, trying to contend for the lead at the 54 lap mark here with the 30 of Carl Lingle in that beautiful Hardy scheme. So yeah, the only two really working on the outside lane at the moment. Pretty much everybody settling in on the inside. The 25, the 88, the 6, the 510, the 48 still working on the inside line there. The 04 and 30 seeing what they can do there. Holding their own, just the two of them. Able to get within, equidistant to the 88 machine on the inside, but not able to kind of break that bubble and get to at least the quarter panel of the 25 machine of Kevin Freese. They're just kind of stalled out there without any more help. Still holding their own and doing pretty well in that outside lane, but not enough to... Ooh, bit of a moment there for the 30 there. Almost makes contact with the 6 here, but we're still rolling. But those two drivers holding their own pretty well, but all of that momentum and that power is really in that inside lane here that just about everybody is single filing at the moment. And I think we can kind of see just from two cautions and, fairly spread out, not too nothing too egregious early on here, but two cautions for the halfway point of the race is definitely enough to get people a little nervous and want to settle down just a little bit. So I think for the most part, you're going to see a little bit of a more calm, cool, and collected approach here to the next maybe 15 to 20 laps or so. But you really don't want to be in that mode for too long, because if you get in that mode for too long and you stay in that mode, you may not be able to make those moves to get you up to the front there. As we see a little bit of a bobble from the 6 after a push from the 510 there, but all is good and rolling smooth for those two Ford Mustangs as we are working on lap number 59, approaching the 2/3 mark in this one. Again, we've mentioned how fast these green flag laps can click off. Running about 31 seconds around the speedway at the moment. Kevin Freese getting that bonus point in the championship for that lap led. All of our top 6 drivers at the moment are playoff contenders. You have to go all the way back to Maxwell Caldwell to find the last one in the top 10 here, and pretty much everyone just kind of spread out throughout. A lot of the drivers there from 10th on back really just single file trying to see what they can do to keep it calm and quiet here, as we actually see Jack Walls is a little bit off the pace here, as I'm not quite sure what we see here, but he had to come down pit road. I wonder if there was... I don't think there was a penalty, unless it was a pass-through penalty that he had to serve, but so Jack Walls had to pit. He actually, just pit once. Took 4 tires in fuel, it looks like, but no stop and hold penalties, but he is going to be quite a ways off of the pace here. He's going to be 1 lap down. And we'll see if we can see, there he is on the front stretch right now, so he's 1 lap down. And unfortunately, the leaders are almost caught up to him once again, so Jack Walls is in danger of going 2 laps down here. Not quite sure, assuming that may have been a pass-through penalty for something that happened under the caution there, is the only thing that I can assume or think of that could be the issue, or for whatever reason, sometimes pit commands don't always work, and maybe he did genuinely need to take tires and fuel, but really unfortunate for him here, as we see him about to go fairly close to being 2 laps down now. That's going to be, especially at this point in the race, could be a tough hole to climb out of. The only other driver that is multiple laps down now is Corey Buskirk, as he's actually going to rejoin the speedway here and try to see what he can do to salvage his night. But I think for the most part, unless somebody wrecks out in the next 10 laps or so, he'll be he'll pretty much be relegated to 18th there. But we've got some pit stops here. So the window is open to the end, and we see a couple guys coming down together. 94 of Maxwell Caldwell, Austin Call, Andrew Pileshi, and Brandon Paul are all in this group, a 4-pack. Going to try and work this thing together here and get to the end. Fairly safe now to get to the end of this one, as we mentioned, about 30 laps of fuel or so there. Nobody taking to pit road that time by as Kevin Freese continues to lead us around the speedway with Gabe Butler, Bud Steele, Rick Sanchez, and Ryan Decker in your top 5. Ryan Decker promoting himself back up into the top 5. As you see here, Jack Walls in the 83. He is going to be put... I think we're putting it together. He may have just been making his final pit stop and had nobody to go with him. So could just be the case for the 83 machine of Jack Walls. At the moment, wasn't smart enough to put that together, but I don't know. Well, no, because he... Yeah, no, definitely not, because he pit at lap 48 last, so he definitely had either a penalty or an issue that he had to resolve, because pitting on lap 48, he was not going to be able to go the distance for the rest of the way. So, but now here at lap 65, that window is definitely open, as looks like Adam Kilday, the 6 machine of Bud Steele, Ryan Decker are going to try and get onto pit road, and very little lockup. It looks like some smoke, but they are down clean. Those two teammates are going to try and get their pit service here together and see where they can shuffle back out with the field. They are currently about 40 seconds ahead of Maxwell Caldwell and the rest of the group that first pit. But we'll have to wait and see how all these guys shake out, as still on the track is the 25 of Kevin Freese and Gabe Butler. Ambrose Kniebel there working in the outside lane in 4th place. The only one really kind of working the outside lane at the moment. 510 machine of Rick Sanchez, their 3rd car in the inside line. Jack Walls there settles in 5th right now, as you see in the pack, but remember, he is 2 laps down, trying to fight for a lap back if he can get it. He's going to try and move to the outside here. Definitely would like to be making the moves for the lead here, or for about 3rd place, but unfortunately for him, having some issues having to pit there on lap 48 just after the restart. And now without any drafting help, finds himself 2 laps down. So going to try and see if he can earn one back the hard way before pit stops are completed for the rest of these drivers. But so we'll see here. It looks like Ryan Decker and Bud Steele have come out just barely ahead of the 94, 64, 82 pack. So these guys are going to be a group of 5 now. Unfortunately, it looks like Brandon Paul was not able to rejoin this draft, so he's about 5 seconds behind them. And we're going to jump back to the front as we see Kevin Freese coming down pit road, Gabe Butler getting slowed to pit road speed, Eric Laurie, Rick Sanchez, and Adam Kilday all coming down this time by. That'll lead Ambrose Kniebel and Carl Lingle out in this lead pack, as Jack Walls is continuing to try to stay ahead of the leader here, again, to get that 1 lap back. But the 04 and the 30 are going to go high around the outside of him. Todd Siebels is in this group. He's going to come down this time by, and so will Dean Wilkinson. So these two are going to try and work together here to get back up to, or through the pack. Kevin Freese comes out ahead of Gabe Butler, Rick Sanchez, Adam Kilday, Eric Laurie, and Ryan Decker is entering turn number 1 right now. So we'll have to see here how they merge and see who is able to get ahead. Looks like there is a decent advantage for Kevin Freese, as he and Gabe Butler are entering turn number 3 right now, but they are not quite organized just yet. So Ryan Decker in this pack is going to have a great head of steam trying to catch up to them, as Bob Fitzgerald just made his pit service by himself. Dean Wilkinson and Todd Siebels also by themselves, but that leaves Carl Lingle and Ambrose Kniebel with the 83 of Jack Walls. They are staying out late here on a long run. 20 laps to go here as Bob Fitzgerald. It says Bob Fitzgerald has crashed, but it doesn't show him a yellow flag anywhere on the speedway. So trouble for the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald. And I think we'll have to wait and see if that was just a moment coming off a pit road here. See the leaders coming back around to lap him, and yep, just unfortunately pushing way too hard on pit exit, and that's probably going to do it for Bob's night. I don't see him scored any longer, so we'll have to wait and see, but I think he's, believe he will be retiring for the evening, but we'll have to wait and see if that is true or not. But Ambrose Kniebel and Carl Lingle are continuing to hang out here at the front of the pack. Jack Wall's still the car one lap down at the moment. He is technically the last car one lap down, as Kevin Freese and everybody else who has pit are at the head of the first cars one lap down. So it's Kevin Freese one lap down, Gabe Butler, Rick Sanchez, Adam Kilday here in this group. Ryan Decker and the rest of the group slowly catching up to them. So Ryan Decker, Maxwell Caldwell, Austin Call, Eric Laurie, Andrew Paleschi, Bud Steele, all in this group here. So about 10 cars even there in this second group. So we'll have to wait and see where they shuffle out as far as Carl Lingle and Ambrose Kniebel, because there's 17 laps to go, but they've still probably got a few more laps before they need to pit. Lap 45 to 75 here is coming up in about a lap or two, so they're probably within the window here for another lap or two to go, but probably can't go too much longer here. We'll have to wait and see, as the rest of the pack is coming up very quickly behind them with a lot more energy, with more cars in tow. But they are, remember, the field one lap down on these guys, as they're going to come down on pit road together here. Oh, 04 is going to slide completely through. The 30 is going to slide through and probably get a speeding penalty. We're going to rewind that just a quick second here and see if the 04 managed to have a safe pit entry, and he did not. Entering from the grass, that is absolutely going to be a penalty for the 04 of Ambrose Kniebel. I believe that'll be a 40-second stop and hold, so we'll have to wait and see what happens for him as he's getting into his box now. Carl Lingle also potentially with a penalty, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. So as we jump back live and at full speed here, we'll see the Jack Wells machine, the 83, getting out of the way, and it looks like he's going to make another pit stop. So 15 laps to go here. Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler, Rick Sanchez back out in front. Carl Lingle did not have a speeding penalty, so he is out of his box. 4 tires and fuel back underway. Unfortunately, Ambrose Kniebel definitely had a 40-second penalty, so he's going to have 40 seconds tacked onto the end of his pit service, which will put him about 55 seconds on pit road, which is 2 almost full laps on pit road, plus the time it takes to get up to speed as he gets off pit road, and the time he lost getting down to speed, pit road speed limit for that pit stop. That's going to put him probably 3 or 4 laps down, and probably out of this one as well. But we've got 14 laps to go, so I think officially retired now are the 08, or maybe not. Bob Fitzgerald's still back out, actually able to get back out on the racetrack here after taking a fast repair. I would assume Corey Buskirk is also out on the racetrack. So these two drivers 4 laps and 18 laps down respectively. So that's actually 1 lap back that Corey Buskirk has been able to get on the field. But there is not a lot of time left to get anything else back, as Jack Walls took another pit stop there. He is going to put himself back 2 laps down. The only cars that are 1 lap down at the moment are Ambrose Kniebel and Todd Siebels, who Todd also having a 40-second penalty either for speeding on pit road or unsafe pit entry there. And those two are going to be actually linked up together at the moment, about 36 seconds off of our leaders. So they're about 6 seconds behind the leaders, and I don't think that they will have the opportunities to be able to catch up to them. But this is it now. This is going to be your pack of 10 here. We're going to be watching for the rest of this race. 12 laps to go here. The 25 of Kevin Freese has kind of quietly led a majority of the final third of this one, last pitting on lap 68. Kind of controlled us to the restart there. Got ahead of his teammate of Gabe Butler and stayed ahead during the pit stop cycle, and seeing what they can do to try and control this one. We haven't seen anybody in that outside lane be able to catch up to the first car in line, since a couple of drivers were able to do it early on, but we'll have to wait and see. That 48 machine of Ryan Decker is going to try and get up there. You know that the 94, oh, a little bit of contact there. We keep rolling smooth. Almost a couple points of contact there between the 48, the 510, and the 94 in the outside lane. But we are rolling okay, and the 48's going to try and was trying to say that the 48's going to get a good push here, we'd think, from Maxwell Caldwell in the Oops All Berries Captain Crunch machine. And there's a little bit of a separation now for the 25 and the 88 of Kevin Freese and Gabe Butler. It's not going to last very long with the energy that is in this pack with how many cars there are there, but a lot of good names in this pack who are trying to see what they can do to win this race. There's 3 drivers in here that aren't in the playoffs, looking to steal a win and some extra points away from a few drivers. The first one, or at least the highest of those running right now, is Ryan Decker, finding himself in the 4th spot, 3rd car in the outside lane. We just haven't seen that outside lane do anything but get stalled. As you see, still the breakaway, the 3 cars now, Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler, and Rick Sanchez. As Rick Sanchez is going to try and go up and maybe throw a little bit of a block there, as now the 48 is clear and in the outside lane. Still getting the push from the 94 and the 64. Bud Steele and Eric Laurie just kind of hanging out in the back of this pack, just waiting to see what's going to happen. Adam Kilday also kind of in that position as well. Andrew Pileshi, the 4th car in the inside lane. He led some laps early on. He's had a good showing and is putting himself in position here. All these drivers putting themselves in position here to try and win this one with 8 laps to go. They did everything they needed to from staying out of trouble so far for the most part and getting good, clean green flag pit stops when necessary in that last pit cycle. And these 10 are going to put themselves in the conversation for the first winner of the playoffs, and who knows, some of them trying to grab as many points as they possibly can as they run for the championship here at Area 51. Kevin Freese is still on the point. Is Kellogg's Chevrolet Camaro being pushed by the Guinness Chevrolet Camaro and teammate? As, the 6 machine, a little bit of contact with the outside wall towards the back of the pack, but he is rolling okay. But still had a bit of a moment there, but tire starting to take a little bit of effect here later on in these runs. But Bud able to keep it moving and be okay. As you mentioned, the team Bootnaka Esports teammates there here at the front of this one. Most of the rest of these guys either running by themselves. I know Rick Sanchez kind of runs on his own. And Ryan Decker and Bud Steele are teammates, but they're not connected at the moment. As far as other chats here in the Area 51 Discord, I don't see a lot of other guys that are directly working with each other that are up here in this pack. So you got to expect to see some of that teamwork from the 25 and the 88 to play out. We have seen it a lot where when you can get linked up with a teammate, especially a teammate that knows what he's doing with pushing. There's a bit of a spin. There's going to be a yellow flag here. Oh, late contact after the yellow came out. The 94 and the 48 made contact there. Took a moment to try and figure out what was happening. Look down, look back up, but we're going to see where this originally came out with. It looks like Corey Buskirk, as he was involved here, coming off of turn number 4. He seems there to get a little loose by himself. Overcorrects it right into the 03. And I think that's going to be a big hit to the wall for Brandon Paul. Pancakes the side of that one. And I would think, yeah, we'll see here. So the 998, as he spins around, probably going to be what actually pulls out the caution here, as he's trying to get it straightened out and slowed down. But he's going to come to a stop here and hit the outside wall. That should have been right there where the caution was thrown. But after the yellow actually came out, we had a few incidents with some of our playoff drivers, as the 94 machine of Maxwell Caldwell is trying to check up here, and we'll see what happens as he's trying to get down out of the way. And there's just a little bit of a checkup in an accordion, and the 510 kind of in the back bumper of the 64, and the 64 very much in the back bumper of the 94. And he makes contact with Ryan Decker. The 071 of Eric Laurie is going to get a taste of this action, unfortunately, as well. Grabbing a side of that Oops All Crunch Berries cereal machine, unfortunately. So Adam Kilday hops on the brakes real hard, but He's going to take a bit of a spoonful of the Oops All Crunch Berries machine as well. And those guys, a lot of playoff implications there for a couple drivers late in this one. But we're going to jump back live here and see. So Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler, Andrew Pileshi, pretty much everyone at the front of this one has stayed out. Ryan Decker came in for some service, as well as Rick Sanchez. Rick Sanchez is going to find himself 9th, Ryan Decker in 10th, Maxwell Caldwell in 11th, having to burn those fast repairs back there. Ambrose Kniebel is going to be able to catch up to the field. That is a huge break for him. He will be on the lead lap and back in this one, and live to fight another day to get back into the action. And I think we had another. Brandon Paul actually able to take his fast repair and get back up into the pack as well. So he's going to be in the 8th position at the moment. So, or actually looking like Brandon Paul not even actually pitting that time by, so must not have enough damage to warrant that. Adam Kilday here. Looks like he is going to be on the lead lap by the time it's all said and done. Dean Wilkinson also on the lead lap. Todd Siebels will still be 1 lap down here. So that means you're going to have 14 drivers on the lead lap with what will be a green-white checkered restart here on, very fittingly, green-white checkered TV. But before we get to that, we're going to take one more quick break, hopefully the last break, and a word from our sponsor, 4D Racewear.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
Again, a big thanks to 4D Racewear and all the support that they give to Area 51 in this league and to Green White Checker TV. We always appreciate those who support us, supporting them, as well as they also support us in this endeavor that we do here at iRacing in Area 51 and Green White Checker TV. So remember to use that offer code Area5115 at 4dracewear.com. That's Area 5115. At 4dracewear.com for 15% off your sim racing apparel orders here. As these drivers are getting ready to go, Kevin Freese on the inside lane, teammate to the outside. They're going to be up through the gears. Green flag back out again on the speedway. 2 laps to go to decide who is going to win the first race of the playoffs here. We've got quite a few playoff drivers in the hunt here. Andrew Pileshi, second car on the inside line. He's going to try and push the 25 machine of Kevin Freese out to the front, while the 88 machine is going to get the push from the 64 of Austin Call. Not in the playoffs, but still very much eligible to race for the win and try to steal some bonus points from these playoff drivers. Eric Laurie finds himself in the best position he's had all night long in that 071 machine there in P5. Bud steals the third car in the outside lane as we're going to get white flag. 1 lap to go. No yellow flags will ruin this one. We'll get 1 clean lap of action before we get around to the stripe, and it's going to be the 25 machine in the inside lane, the 88 in the outside. Will anybody make a move to go 3 wide, or is it just going to be down to the 2 teammates side by side as we got a wreck in behind them? They're going to wreck behind them, but we are still going to finish green flag until the end here with the white flag out, coming out of turn number 4. The advantage on the inside is to Kevin Freese. His teammate on the outside not going to be able to get there. They're going to have to settle for a 1-2 finish side by side. But it's Kevin Freese with the first win of the playoffs. Gabe Butler second, and Andrew Pileshi with a great night coming home to round out the podium placings. Austin Call in 4th, playing spoiler to the playoff crowd. A great finish for him this evening. Eric Laurie coming home P5. And we will see the celebration here for the 25 machine of Kevin Freese on the front stretch. At the end of this one, we'll have him up for an interview in just a moment here in that number 25 Kellogg's Camaro. But we've got a few more to go interviews before we get to him. Seeing first if we can find a few. Working on grabbing a copy of the 82 Machines communications. And we'll see if we can get him up here shortly for a quick interview. As you see the unofficial running order there on your left at the end here. Taking just a moment to try again to get a radio copy of the 82 machine of Andrew Pileshi. I don't think we're going to be able to, so we will work on our next interview, which will be the 88 machine of Gabe Butler.
Got
So
turned into you.
we'll put
Sanchez
him
did.
up in. Sorry to interrupt you there, Gabe, but we'll pull you up here
Oh,
into the broadcast booth and get some of your viewpoint from this evening. And yeah, I mean, little bit of chaos early on to the midway and at the very end, but you guys were able to manage it pretty well and a solid second place finish. Take us through how you got there tonight, Gabe.
the usual teammates, and that last pit stop, we did a good job on it. We were able to get out. We took 2 tires, and we were debating whether to come in on that last caution. But we figured here it'd be, even if guys did take 4, it'd be really hard to make a pass with 2 to go. So we decided to stay on our tires, and we were able to get a 1-2, which is a great job by Kevin. Great pushing there by him early on, and of course Eric had a good finish too, P5. So good night for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're obviously, you guys are lined up kind of side by side there, with the way the track position pull, came through. And was there any plans to try and tuck in behind each other if you could, or was it just kind of do what you can with the dancing partners you had there, with obviously Austin Call behind you and I believe it was Andrew Pileshi behind Kevin.
Well, the way it worked out, we had to stay where we were. But if I had the opportunity to jump in behind Kevin, I would have. But like I said, we never really got an opportunity to do that. Andrew uh, did a good job staying behind Kevin, and of course Austin did a good job staying behind me. So we really didn't have the opportunity, but it worked out anyway.
Yeah, it seemed like for the most part that outside lane was never really able to get enough momentum or power to really move forward. We saw, I know, I believe it actually might have been you at one point early on, making a move to the front from the top, but it seemed like there was, a lot of getting to maybe the second car in line, or even with the second car in line, and just never being able to push through that. Was that any bit of an issue on that final restart there for you in the outside lane?
No. I think if Austin had a third car a little bit closer to him, we might have had a shot at it. But I'm sure guys had already taken their 2 tires, and they kind of made their bed. So when you get up behind somebody, the car gets really tight, especially in 3 and 4. And that you can make that second lane work, but it just depends how many cars are behind you and the proximity they are to the second car. So, but again, we'll take it here. It's a good result for here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of been. I think this is actually our second season now running this track in the Super Speedway style racing. But what's been your overall impression of adding Atlanta Motor Speedway to the gambit of our schedule?
I think it's a great track. I mean, it's you really got to drive the car here. You got to save tires. You got to lift in the corners. Um, so, I mean, to me, it's a driver's track as far as super speedways go. So I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm glad we added it, and I hope we keep it.
Yeah, seems like at least for us in the booth, it's definitely produced some very fast-paced and exciting action. So definitely a lot of fun to watch you guys do battle from up here. And yeah, it seems like I mean, it seems like everything kind of went to plan according to plan so far tonight. I mean, you guys were for the most part up in the front. I know Kevin took a little bit to get up there, but I mean, it seemed like you guys were just kind of able to be patient and control most of that race for most of the midpoint on.
Yeah, and like any race, not just at Atlanta, patience is the key when it comes to super speedway racing. If you have that, things will come to you, and that's what we try and do is let things come to us if we're in the back, and just if we're up front, we just try and maintain that. So.
Yeah, definitely helps. But so I do want to ask you. We've got you've got 5 top 5s on the season now, 8 top 10s. Most of anybody by a fairly large margin, especially with the top 10s are almost double over who the most top 10s in second place. But do you see yourself as with those stats and the season you've had so far? Do you see yourself as a championship favorite? And if you do or don't, I know we asked last week, but what do you think is it going to take to bring home this championship at the end of these next 3 weeks?
Well, I certainly don't consider myself a favorite in any championship or any race for that matter. But the main thing is just to try and stay consistent. I know I've got the help of my teammates; they've got my help. So if one of us gets it, that'll be fantastic. And try and bring home a boot knocker super speedway one more time.
Always humble, and we always appreciate that from you, Gabe. And before we let you go, want to give you one last chance for any thanks or shout outs for that second place finish and that team 1-2-5 finish tonight.
Yeah, great job by Eric there and Kevin. Yeah, 1-2-5, perfect. Great start to the playoffs here, and I appreciate Austin and Andrew there racing this really clean. Of course, Area 51 for putting this together and putting up with us all, and you guys up in the booth. Awesome job as usual. Can't wait to look at it later.
Absolutely, always appreciate you, Gabe, and wish you the best of luck through the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, we've got, unfortunately, still trying to get radio communication with the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. I don't believe we will be able to bring him up, but we'll try one more time here before, or try and get him one more time while we're talking to Kevin and see if we can get him in here in just a moment. But for now, we'll pull up the race winner of Kevin Freese in that number 25 machine. Kevin, we saw definitely some pretty good action throughout the night. A little bit of chaos here and there. Saw you get involved in the one of the earlier incidents in this one, but able to capitalize, get to the front, and just kind of stay there. Take us through everything that went through your view from the cockpit for that race win tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. I was just trying on that first run to save as much tire as I could. And I feel like I had more than the people who were in front of me. And I was like running half throttle down the backstretch. So I was just trying to make something happen there on the top lane. But it looks like they were, I think, just running a little too high for me to shoot that gap. But to me, it was worth the risk. But then once I used the faster pair, it was get up front, stay up front, and don't leave there if I could. Because once you go back, it's so hard to get track position in this and pass. And then we had a solid pit stop there at the end that gave us the track position for that final restart.
Yeah, I know we've obviously already talked to Gabe, so we kind of know a little bit of the team mindset going into most of the race or different aspects. But it seemed like you guys were kind of just expecting to stay out, keep that track position, and see what you could do at the end of that one.
Yeah, that was the plan. I was just telling Maxwell in Discord that I was like kind of disappointed when people started pitting so early because I'm like, I'd really like to run this longer so that we had more of had the tire advantage on the back end of the run. But once it got to the point that I think it was almost half the field was in, it just had to. it couldn't stay out. We just would have lost way too much.
Yeah, it definitely seems like tire wear has been a big factor at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I mean, I guess for me, it's a lot of fun to watch, up here in the broadcast booth. And I asked a question to Gabe as well, but with that, that aspect that's kind of unique to Atlanta Motor Speedway, what have you thought about adding this track to the gambit of our schedule? Have you enjoyed racing here so far?
Oh yeah, I've loved this track since it came out because it's not just throttle down and hope for the best. It takes quite a bit. Like as the leader there for that the final stretch, except for when they were closing in, and I was trying to manipulate the handling of the car a little bit. I was lifting for almost every corner and running 3/4 throttle as long as I could just to keep momentum and also just try and balance the tire because you could see on the first run when I was in the back, like started towards the back of the pack, there were people who were burning off the right front, and I enjoy that. It's also why I like iRacing Super Speedway because both tracks have their challenges. Is pit road here is oof. I don't know how I wasn't speeding because I hit the line pretty fast and then had to stand on the brakes and then somehow not lock them up and spin myself out. So I enjoy the races that include a lot of challenges for us that aren't just the simple throttle down, go.
Yeah, it's I mean it's definitely seemed to be a lot of fun. I mean we've had a lot of fun watching just the tire wear and the actual kind of strategy that goes into that, not just more so than just oh hey we're gonna pit for a field this lap, and it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
I know how treacherous getting onto pit road Atlanta was before they repaved it. Obviously with more banking and even more speed, it can't be any better now, I assume.
No, you're like I have my brake marker, but my brake marker was more for the truck. I haven't really raced here a ton in the Xfinity car. So but I can confirm the brake marker for the truck, not really a good one for this car that doesn't like to stop. And I should have known that going in, but still decided let's send it on in there.
Yeah, well, good news is you got it and you got the race win, so that's always helpful. So I did ask Gabe. I mean, stats wise, it's hard not to say that he could be a favorite just from the fact that he's got double the top tens of anybody so far this season. You in a little bit of a different category. Obviously, you've had a very successful season with a lot of top fives in most of your starts. But we've only been here for 5 starts so far.
Yep.
Where do you kind of see yourself in the rankings of the championship, I guess, leaders here? And twofold, what do you also think is it going to take to win this championship here?
It's gonna just all these championships come down to consistency and don't let your bad race be absolutely awful that it puts you in a deficit that you can't overcome. Because if you're playing catch up and you're in desperation mode early, it is a long playoff. That's why I prefer at all my leagues either to be up top in the playoffs or just not in it, because when you're not in it, it's also a lot of fun because you can just race like you have nothing to lose. But it's you don't want to be in a stressful situation. So hopefully we can stay there. I missed a bunch of races this season because of vacations and all that, but we'll see if we can make every one of these and make Gabe's life difficult.
There you go. Well, it definitely has to take a little bit of stress off knowing that you got some bonus points for leading laps and the most points for coming home with the race wins. That's got to take a little bit of stress off of the next 3 weeks of racing that we have.
Yeah, except I think he got the zero. Yeah, he got the 0 incident point bonus.
He did also
That
get a
one,
bonus for or
yeah,
for pole too. So
yeah, just gotta kind of push him back down, and I gotta scoop those up. No, I don't care who wins it. Between if it's one of us on our team, I am all good with it. I will push any of them to the win to get it.
yeah, well, so we'll have to wait and see. I know obviously you and Gabe have a pretty solid advantage with tonight's run. So I want to say congratulations to you and give you one last chance for any shout outs or thank yous for that race win tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you to Andrew for the push there at the end. Thanks to Gabe and Eric for running with me tonight. And thanks to all the drivers out there. We had a pretty good battle most of that race. Kept it fun. And yeah, thanks to you for the broadcast and all the admin behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Always appreciate talking to you, and wish you the best of luck through the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you. You have a good night.
You too. All right, so yeah, Kevin mentioned the 82 as well there, so we'll not going to be able to get a copy from Andrew, unfortunately, but um, definitely want to highlight his night. He had a really solid night in that number 82 machine. Led some laps early on, kind of took command of the race for a little bit there with the help of some pushes from Gabe Butler, and was always pretty much in the hunt throughout the night, and found himself there third in line on the inside, able to kind of make that move to try and push towards the front, and ultimately was kind of the reason there on that final restart that Kevin was able to be pushed to the win. So definitely wish could have gotten a copy with you, Andrew, but no worries. Totally understand. Got to get out of here and do some things, outside of Sim World and in the real world sometimes. So appreciate that, and just wanted to say congratulations to you, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next interview for the next time. But good run for Andrew there tonight, and again, Kevin saying big help to Kevin for getting that push at the end there for the 82 machine. So. That'll do it for interviews. We'll do a quick rundown of the race results again. We'll bring those back up for you as we talked to Kevin Freese and Gabe Butler, 1-2 for Team Bootnaka Esports there. Andrew Paleschi's solid run all night long coming home. P3, good points night for him in the championship battle. Austin Cullis playing a little bit of a spoiler there, one of the only drivers in the top five, or the only driver in the top five, I should say, not in the playoffs. So definitely love to see him up there and doing well. Had a great opportunity to try and push Gabe Butler to the win, but came out just a little bit short, but still a great opportunity for him tonight, and a good run to show that even if you're not in the playoffs, you can still do quite a bit. And he's still trying to find himself in the championship battle of his own. He's currently tied in points for 17th place there. The first, coming in tonight, he was tied for 17th place, the first two cars outside of the playoffs. So he still has something to play for in the championship standings, and has done a pretty good job most of the season there in that Burger King machine. But Eric Laurie there, lots of damage, but able to come home in that fifth position tonight. So a good recovery after getting caught up in a lot of stuff that was really none of his own doing there with the 04 incident with the 04, that really weird netcode contact, unfortunately, that we saw kind of towards the middle point of the race. But moving through the rest of the field, Carl Engel had a pretty solid night there, P6 for him in the playoffs as well. Bud Steele moving on down sixth place. Wasn't able to repeat that win that he had here earlier on the season, but still a pretty solid effort in that seventh place. Ryan Decker, another driver outside of the championship contenders right now, but still having a good night in the eighth position. Was up higher definitely and had some opportunities to do a little bit better, but unfortunately will settle for a little bit further down in the top 10. Still a good run for him tonight. Dean Wilkinson, who we saw kind of hanging out in the back of the pack, kind of bit him in a couple times, but he's able to catch back up with the final caution there, and he finds himself inside the top 10 as well. Ambrose Kniebel, after some of the chaos that he got put through, glad to see him at least recover with a top 10. Definitely deserved a little bit more with some of the ways he was running in the earlier portions of the race, but sometimes that just happens. But for him in Blind Squirrel Racing, he'll settle for a good opportunity in a top 10 position tonight. Brandon Paul had some good moments so far, but he's had a little bit of contact there, bringing out, or actually I think that was after one of the wrecks there, but still able to recover to be on the lead lap there for him in that 03 as he continues to battle in the playoffs, as well as Rick Sanchez there, P12. Definitely a little bit unfortunate for Rick. Was definitely solidly in the top 5, at least the top 10 most of the night. Falls just a little bit there at the end of the race, but he's going to come home in the 12th position, just ahead of Adam Kilday Some of those guys were involved in the accident at the down the backstretch there at the end of the race, as well as we saw Maxwell Caldwell get caught up in that as well, and he finds himself about 12 seconds off of the pace on the final lap, but thankfully still only falling to 14th as the last car on the lead lap. Todd Siebel's there, came home P15, one lap down. Jack Walls, we saw him have those issues with having to pit after the second to last yellow there, again assuming that probably would have been an issue with some sort of penalty received under yellow flag, and unfortunately never able to make up that deficit of being 2 laps down, and we'll have to settle there in 16th for the evening. We saw Bob Fitzgerald have a little bit of trouble as he got off of pit road on the green flag pit cycle there. He's going to have to finish 4 laps down in the 17th position, and then Corey Buskirk we saw with his own issues there, getting caught up in, I believe, a couple incidents actually there towards the end in that 998 machine, finishing 21 laps down for his efforts tonight. So, yeah, that will do it for the first race of the playoffs. Definitely some excitement. We saw, a decent amount of yellows, like I'd say a healthy amount of yellow flag action. I think we had 3, if not 4. But we kind of had them spaced out. It was good. It was fun. Had a little bit of an early yellow and then a fairly quicker yellow in the middle there. That kind of calmed everyone down, and got through some green flag pit cycles and had a lot of fun watching it and calling the action. So it was good to see all that. We've got one race again down in the playoffs. We've got 3 more to go. We are going to be off next week, so we will be taking that break for Thanksgiving, wishing all of you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving, very safe travels if you are traveling to loved ones or family or friends or wherever you may be going for the holiday season. Hope your travels are all safe and you guys are able to imbibe in a little bit of good food and some friendship and family, and enjoy that week off, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks' time on Thursday nights, ready to go to finish the season strong 3 weeks in a row. So we'll be back next week 2 weeks' time. I already said the breakup. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on November 30th at Daytona before we get into iRacing Super Speedway on the 7th of December and the Talladega Super Speedway on the 14th of December, and rounding out the season. So hopefully crowning a champion, definitely crowning a champion in Talladega in 4 weeks' time. So appreciate everybody who watches this action live or on replay. Always appreciate that support of the YouTube channel here at Green White Checker TV. Gives us a little bit of support for all the things that we love to do and bring you as far as all the action is concerned here at Area 51. And always appreciate being a part of this and getting to work with Area 51 and everything that they do to put on this league and all the other leagues that they have here, and all the good racing and the fun community that is iRacing and is the Area 51 league. So appreciate all of that. Appreciate all of you. And I think that'll pretty much wrap it up. We'll have a points update at the beginning of the next race, but look to see probably Kevin Freese and Gabe Butler as well as Andrew Pileshi kind of at the top of that list leading the way. Eric Laurie, Bud Steele all in pretty good positions as well. So we'll have that point bonus or that point update ahead of the next race, and we'll get into the 3 final weeks of the season. So I think that'll do it. Again, wish you all the best next week off, and we'll hope to see you back here in 2 weeks' time. So take care, stay safe, and have fun.